Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Jason Reynolds had a routine that not many men could keep with such precision. He woke up every day at 6:30 a.m., made his own coffee, checked his emails while the water boiled, and before leaving for work, he always left a little note for Amanda on the kitchen table. Sometimes it was a silly line like, "You feel like home to me," or a simple, "Tonight, all I want is your hug." He was the kind of husband who paid attention to details: flowers on Wednesdays because that was the day she came home most exhausted, foot massages on Fridays because she always said her heels were killing her. They'd been married for 7 years, and to Jason, it felt like they were still on the right path. That morning, he rushed out for an important meeting. Traffic was moving better than usual, and he got to his company's building more than 20 minutes early. When he parked in the garage, he went to slip his phone into his pocket and felt nothing. He checked the console, the seats, his backpack, nothing. He'd left his phone at home, probably on the bedroom dresser. He thought about just leaving it. He'd only be gone a few hours, but a nagging restlessness started growing inside. It was like someone was whispering, "Go back. You need to go back." And so he went back. When he arrived, the front door was just barely closed. That was strange. Amanda always locked it. He went in carefully, taking light steps, like someone walking through their own home for the first time. The sound coming from the kitchen made his heart skip. It was her voice, loud, direct, on speakerphone. Jason froze in the hallway. "You're way more of a man than he'll ever be." Those words broke something inside him. It wasn't just a physical betrayal, it was emotional disloyalty, a lack of respect for their intimacy and for what they'd built together. The words kept pouring out of Amanda's mouth like they were in another life, a life where Jason didn't even exist. He'll never find out. It's so easy to fool someone who believes everything. That was when Jason realized that nothing he thought he knew about his own marriage was actually true. He stood there for a few seconds, and time seemed to stretch out. There were no screams inside him, no tears. There was just silence. A silence full of decisions that had yet to be made. With gentle movements, he went upstairs to the bedroom. He picked up his phone and checked if there were any important calls. Everything was normal. On the outside, it was like the world was still working fine. On the inside, his world had changed forever. He left the same way he came in, without making noise, without slamming the door. In his car, he rested his head against the steering wheel for a few seconds. He felt the weight of the betrayal down his back, the bitter taste of discovery stuck in his throat. But along with the pain, a coldness arose in him, something he never thought he was capable of. He got back to work as if he'd only forgotten his phone. He smiled at the doorman. He greeted his coworkers. He cracked jokes in the elevator. And when he sat down in the meeting room, he looked at his laptop screen as if nothing had happened. But inside, a new version of him was being born. One that no longer trusted. One that quietly watched. One that would wait for the right moment to act, and when that moment came, Amanda would find out that the man who'd been so easy to fool could also be the most dangerous when hurt. From that day on, Jason started seeing the world differently. Hugs that used to feel warm now felt cold, loaded with a fake script repeated without emotion. Every word Amanda spoke seemed calculated. Her looks, her gestures, her compliments that once made him happy now felt hollow. It was like watching a play when you already know the ending, and the ending wouldn't be a happy one. The initial pain gave way to clarity. A sharp clarity. This wasn't about jealousy or guesswork anymore. It was real. She had cheated, and she was still cheating, with the calm confidence of someone who believes she'll never be caught. Jason wasn't going to bring it all crashing down by yelling. He'd do it with strategy. With patience. He started with the practical side, money. He opened a new bank account in his name, separate from their joint finances. Little by little, he transferred precise amounts, just enough not to raise suspicion. He cancelled her extra credit card, saying the bank had detected unauthorized use. Amanda accepted his explanation with a distracted smile and didn't ask questions. Jason watched her every reaction. He was learning to decode this new version of Amanda, the one who pretended, who smiled with cold eyes, who lived a second life behind the curtain of their shared home. Next, he called Lucas Harrington, his trusted lawyer. They met at a quiet restaurant on a regular day, with nothing special about the date. Jason got straight to the point. He said what he needed. Lucas listened in silence, asked a few practical questions, and grasped the seriousness of the situation. They began the divorce process discreetly, without immediate notification. It was critical for Amanda to believe everything was still normal. Over the following days, Jason kept being the perfect husband. He helped around the house, joked around, picked out movies for them to watch together. But on the inside, his mind worked like a chessboard. He was 3 moves ahead. He watched more than he talked, listened more than he responded. He installed hidden cameras in the main rooms of the house. Tiny devices, positioned perfectly, camouflaged among the decor. Each recording went straight to his phone, stored with a password, protected by a sequence of codes only he knew. And with the coldness of an investigator, Jason began putting the puzzle pieces together. One week, he made up a business trip. Said he'd be out of town for meetings and would stay in a hotel for 2 days. Amanda didn't show any concern. She kissed him goodbye, told him to rest and have fun, and texted him at night as usual. Everything seemed normal. But Jason was only a couple neighborhoods away, staying in a rented flat under a different name. He wanted to see what would happen when she thought she was completely alone. That was when everything became clear. On the second day, around 2 in the afternoon, the door sensor detected movement. Jason accessed the cameras and saw Amanda answering the door. When it fully opened, his heart clenched. It was Blake. His best friend. The man he'd shared memories with, childhood, parties, losses, triumphs, and now, apparently, also his wife. Amanda greeted him with a light, almost automatic smile, like it was routine. Blake walked in naturally, as if the house belonged to him. He took off his jacket, tossed it on the sofa, and headed to the kitchen. They laughed at some joke Jason couldn't hear, but their tone of intimacy said more than any words could. Jason watched the recording like someone watching a fire slowly burn down a place full of memories. Every corner of that house told a story. The rug they bought on a trip to Seattle. The lamp they picked out together after months of renovating the living room. Now it was all just the backdrop for a lie, and the star of it was the man Jason trusted most. In the following videos, Amanda said things that cut deeper than knives. I feel alive with you. With him, everything's just lukewarm, automatic. He'll never suspect a thing. He still thinks we're like some movie couple. Jason didn't look away. He didn't skip ahead. He watched it all. He wanted to feel everything. He wanted to record every second of that betrayal, because those moments would form the foundation of the truth he'd reveal when the time was right. In the days that followed, he started recording Amanda's conversations more precisely. He bought a portable voice recorder, the kind that's voice-activated, and hid it in the places where she most often talked on the phone, the closet, the kitchen counter, her car. He collected audio clips, dates, statements. He organized everything into folders with almost clinical labels: Evidence A, speakerphone, 5:13 p.m., Evidence B, hallway, Friday afternoon. It wasn't just about gathering proof. It was about reconstructing the truth piece by piece from each lie. It was about planning the perfect scene, the perfect moment, the perfect fall. Blake and Amanda thought they were having a secret romance. They didn't know Jason was the one actually writing the story. And once that script was complete, everyone would see. Jason became a master of patience. Living side by side with Amanda, smiling through each fake gesture, demanded a level of self-control he never knew he had. Time had become his most loyal ally. The pain that ripped through him weeks earlier was now fuel. Every "good morning," she said, every forced kiss on the cheek, every sweet text sent from the same phone she used to talk to Blake, he absorbed them all. He didn't react, didn't get angry, didn't even change his tone. On the inside, he was cold, but on the outside, he stayed warm enough to keep his disguise. When he realized he had enough evidence to blow apart any lie, he started thinking about how he would present it. He could have just revealed everything. Sent the recordings to mutual friends, emailed a copy of the video to Blake himself, posted it all on social media. That would have been easy. But Jason wasn't looking for easy. He wanted impact. He wanted Amanda to feel the same shock he'd felt when he first heard her confessing her feelings to his best friend, a sudden, direct, and very public shock. That's when the idea of the party came up. It was close to their wedding anniversary, 7 years together. Amanda loved special dates. She loved celebrations, surprises, fancy dinners. Jason knew she'd be touched if he threw a party. And more than that, she'd see it as proof that he was still completely invested in his role as the loving husband. The plan was simple on the outside, but meticulously crafted on the inside. He started planning the event with a convincing enthusiasm. He messaged close friends, family, co-workers. He rented a cozy, tasteful venue with soft lighting and space for about 80 guests. He hired an event company to handle everything from decorations to catering. He told everyone it would be a surprise and that Amanda wouldn't find out until the right moment. He wanted her off balance, vulnerable, enchanted. All of it would be part of the show he'd been secretly writing. He spent whole afternoons reviewing the videos. He edited them carefully, putting each part in chronological order, mixing in audio recordings with crisp camera footage. He created a sequence that started with small hints, moved on to solid proof, and ended with the most painful things Amanda had ever said, words that made it clear this wasn't just a slip-up, but a calculated betrayal driven by complete disregard. Meanwhile, Amanda kept living her life, thinking she was in control. She seemed lighter, more carefree. Jason noticed it in the way she smiled at her phone by herself, the extra time she took getting ready to go out, her sudden excitement for activities she used to avoid. She clearly felt free. She thought she was fooling everyone, when in reality, she was the one at the center of a carefully laid trap. While organizing the details, Jason realized he needed an ally. Someone who could help with the technical side, who could manage the logistics of showing the video at the party. Someone trustworthy, smart, and distant enough not to raise suspicion. That's when Chloe came to mind again. Chloe Moore, Blake's sister, had crossed paths with Jason a few weeks earlier at a small coffee shop. Their conversation had been light and full of old memories. It had stayed on Jason's mind ever since. Something about Chloe was the polar opposite of everything Amanda had become: honesty. Clear eyes, calm words, a firm way of speaking, without games or tricks. He knew she had no part in her brother's actions, in fact, they barely spoke. And maybe that was why she was the perfect person to help. They arranged to meet at a quiet cafe on a cold Thursday afternoon. They spent a few minutes easing the tension. Chloe noticed Jason seemed different. More mature, a bit hardened, maybe even darker. He told her what he'd discovered, with no sugarcoating, hiding none of the pain. She listened silently, not trying to soften anything. When he finished, she simply said, "You don't deserve this. No good man deserves to be torn down like that." Jason asked for her help. He needed someone to handle the video presentation, someone to be there at the party but also know exactly when to make things happen. Chloe agreed without hesitation. For the first time, he saw in her eyes something more than sympathy. There was indignation, a quiet anger from someone who'd also been betrayed, not by a lover, but by a brother who broke a friend's trust. They spent 2 weeks planning it all. They tested equipment, organized files, and worked out signals. Every detail was arranged with cinematic precision. Jason even chose the soundtrack that would play right before the big reveal. Everything would have a beginning, a middle, and an end. A love story that started with promises and would end with the truth laid bare in front of everyone. A few days before the party, Amanda brought up their anniversary. 7 years, Jay. I can't believe it. Don't you think we've made it through everything by now? Jason smiled. He gently touched her face and spoke softly, I think time always shows us who we really are. She smiled, pleased with his answer, believing he was still the same man as before. But inside, Jason had already changed. He was no longer the devoted husband or the betrayed friend. He was a strategist, a man at peace with the storm he was about to unleash. On the night of the party, the venue looked perfect. Every detail had been thought out with an almost cruel care. Soft lighting, the sweet scent of flowers, scented candles on the tables, a bar with custom drinks, and a lit-up sign that read, 7 years of true love. The words Jason chose were exactly what Amanda wanted to see. The woman who had fooled everyone with her picture-perfect wife act was about to be honored under a spotlight she'd never forget. Guests started arriving a little after 7. Old friends, college pals, both families. There were smiles, hugs, shared stories, and toasts. Jason mingled with a charm that bordered on enchanting, shaking hands, making jokes, thanking everyone for coming. Amanda still didn't know about the party. She'd arrive at just the right time, brought by a friend who'd been asked to keep her distracted until everyone was there. Chloe, calm and sure-footed, was already by the sound table, flash drive plugged in, video ready to go at Jason's cue. At 8:11 p.m., Amanda arrived. She was wearing a red dress Jason had once complimented years ago, saying the color made her eyes sparkle. She beamed like someone stepping into a fairy tale. She greeted the guests without trying to hide her excitement. She was amazed, thrilled, surprised, exactly how Jason expected her to be. When she spotted him on the other side of the room, she hurried over, throwing her arms around him. He held her gently, pretending to share her excitement. You did all this for me? For us, he answered, with a smile that concealed a universe of truth. They toasted, then made their way to the small stage set up for speeches. Amanda looked around like a child at her dream party. Jason motioned for quiet with a polite gesture. The music faded. People settled down, curious. Many of them knew Jason was a private person, so seeing him speak publicly like this made the air buzz with anticipation. He took a deep breath, looked at Amanda, and began, 7 years. It's a nice number. A number filled with stories, achievements, promises, and also truth. Some truths are easy to share. Others, not so much. A few reserved laughs broke out, thinking he was about to make some playful couple joke. Amanda, still smiling, crossed her arms, waiting for another romantic speech. But the next few seconds killed any sense of expectation. The venue lights went out. The only light now came from the screen, which started playing the first scene, Amanda on the couch, answering a call. Her voice was clear, sweet, and obviously incriminating. He left. We've got time. Jason stayed still by the stage, watching the impact on everyone's faces. A wave of murmurs swept through the room like a cold wind. Amanda tried to stifle a nervous laugh, as if it might be some sort of poorly executed prank. But the next sequence showed Blake walking into Jason's house. Their laughter, their touches, their kisses. All recorded, dated, no room for doubt. He believes everything I say. He has no idea. I get everything I want and still look like the perfect wife. The words echoed while the guests' faces went from festive to shocked, to completely stunned. Amanda stepped backward, instinctively. She covered her mouth, as if she could block the humiliation with her own hand. She whispered Jason's name, but he didn't respond. He stayed where he was, calmly watching the screen. Some friends stood up, uncomfortable. Others stared at Amanda like they didn't recognize her. Jason's mother discreetly wiped away a tear, ashamed. Blake, who was also invited, didn't bother showing up. Jason had expected that. He knew the fear of being exposed would outweigh Blake's arrogance. When the video ended, the room remained silent. The kind of silence that screams. Jason left the stage and walked up to Amanda, taking a small black box out of his pocket. She looked at him, hoping for some miracle, some apology, some gesture that could erase what had just happened. But when he opened the box, there wasn't a ring inside, just the divorce papers, neatly folded. You always said you wanted a memorable ending. Here's ours. He placed the box in her hands, turned around, and walked to the exit. No one stopped him. Nobody said a word. He passed by the tables, the rows of chairs, the flower arrangements, and opened the door as though leaving a tomb, leaving behind the weight of a lie and the woman who'd destroyed everything with a smile. Outside, Chloe was waiting in her car. The headlights were off, but her eyes shone with understanding and a sense of release. Jason got into the passenger seat, closed the door quietly, and stared straight ahead. She didn't say a word. She just held his hand firmly. And there, in the silence of that car, he breathed freely for the first time in a long time. Inside the venue, Amanda stood there, trembling hands clutching the open box. Now she knew what it meant to be laid bare in front of everyone, not because she lacked clothing, but because she lacked dignity. Every gaze in her direction was a mirror showing what she'd lost. There was no applause, no curtain to close. The party meant to celebrate love had turned into a stage for the truth, and she was the only actor who never saw the ending coming. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.